there's going to come a moment when you are not going to like me. You're going to be highly, highly pissed off with me. And you are going to want to fight me. I give you permission to do all of that. Because in the end, I'm going to win.
Tiger fans, welcome to episode 276 of the official Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club podcast, bringing you all the latest news, updates, and buzz surrounding your mighty JSU Tigers. I am the Corey C. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast to be notified of all future episodes. Apple Podcasts and Spotify video users, rate and review the show, and everyone, go follow Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club on Facebook and Tiger Talk 1400 on Instagram and Twitter. It all helps the cause, which is the I love Jackson State University. What up, fellas? 5-0.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. What's good? What's good? What up, Tiger Nation? What's going on, man?
What up, Corey? What up, Ken? What up, the I Love family?
What's good, fellas? Went to Bama, got in there, did what we supposed to do. Didn't go down like we thought it would go down, and a little bit of controversy afterwards, but a win is a win, man. A W is a W, right?
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. Hey,
let's just say all the controversy would have been a little different had we lost, but I take it with a win any day.
Absolutely.
Well, most definitely. All I know is it's Sunday and we're still Ando, so we're good.
No doubt.
5-0.
Like I said, it didn't go quite like we had planned. We thought we would totally dominate this team. We thought it would be another or repeat performance from the last time we went to Alabama, when an Alabama team scheduled us for homecoming. But like I said, a win is a win. But quick thoughts on the game.
Well, I'll just say, we didn't have the dominating performance that we're accustomed to and that we'd like to have, but we still took some good nuggets that we can use from this game to carry over to the next game. Defense still gave up a touchdown first drive this game, and after then it was lights out. Dominant performance by the defense, and believe it or not, we just didn't put points, but a dominant performance by the offense in the second half. We didn't get the points we wanted, but the yards were there.
Yeah, it was an intense game, Corey. Got a chance to go to Montgomery and experience it. It was just a lot of factors that played into the outcome of the game, and I know we'll delve into some of the meat and potatoes of what actually transpired. But I thought it was a very this was a football player's football game. And I'm saying if you like football, you like a game that went the way it went. I thought it was a test of strategy, a test of defensive schemes. There was some adjusting that had to take place. There was some overcoming adversity. There was a home field advantage. There was some, it was a lot going on. But we got out of there with the victory. Somewhat of a defensive struggle. I thought they had a pretty decent strategy for how they want to play us. We knew that team slows the ball down. They don't play like a fast pace. So high scoring, maybe you gotta come out, clicking on all cylinders. But in the end, like Zoe said, man, we did enough to win. And we did once we got rolling, it was pretty much lights out from there.
We always go back and forth on this thing called a slow start. Because with this offense, I think if we don't score a touchdown on every single possession, especially in the first half, it comes across as a slow start. And, Zoe and I kind of debated whether or not it was a slow start in previous games. But this game, Zoe, that was a slow start. That was a slow start by the offense. So what was going wrong in the beginning? Why couldn't we get on track sooner?
I mean, honestly, and Coach Prime addressed it. I mean, we have to talk about the elephant in the room.
We have to. So let me preface it. Let me preface this because people are going to say, "Oh, that's an excuse," but sometimes it is what it is. But go ahead.
No, it's not an excuse. It is what it is. Name me another time that you have seen this. So, I mean, we literally have a team arrive to the stadium at 12:45. The players actually get out to warm up at 1 hour before kickoff. I mean, I've never seen that before in a SWAT game. I've never, ever seen that before. And so it kind of, And so it kind of transitioned. And Coach Prime mentioned it's like, look, that we mentioned it at halftime. Hey, that first half is on us because get to the stadium late. Due to circumstances beyond our control, but it is what it is. But we buckled down. But again, that contributed to the slow start. Also coming off a bye week, and it just added to it. But traditionally, you see teams typically start slow on a bye week, though we didn't do it last year against A&M. So, but man, once we settled down and figured out what they were doing, we were able to get the ball rolling and get things moving in the right direction. But again, yeah, we were struggled, by having another slow start. We got to get that rectified.
I'm going to add a little bit more context to that because I experienced it too. We know that the team did not stay in the city, which is something like Coach Prime did address at halftime. I'm going to just tell you guys, man, I'll just say my travel to get there had to be augmented due to some challenges and some delays and cancellations, whatever, which prompted me to have to fly into Birmingham, which is an hour 15 from Montgomery. And I'm going to just tell you guys, man, that highway was probably the worst I had seen in quite some time. I mean, it was bad. And I'm talking about multiple accidents for miles, which kind of made just logistically, you're talking about a 2-lane highway. And when I got a text message that, hey, man, the team is just getting out the exit at 12:45 in the game, me and the person I was riding with was like, are they going to have to delay the game? Because normally the team gets 2 hours in before. So the reason I'm bringing that up is that's a real thing. Like Cole mentioned, to get off the bus and to have to rush to get taped, get fitted, get your clothes on, try to stretch, do all those things. And you've been sitting in traffic for who knows how long. Because let's be real about something. An hour trip took me 3 hours. So imagine how long they were sitting on that bus and they had to get off and then you got to get ready in an hour. So I feel like it absolutely had a lot to do with the game. And you just go and look at, I thought Shador was a little off, rhythm was off. So, yeah, it's a slow start still, but there's a reason. Because whether you feel it's an excuse, I'll just say there is a reason why the team looked the way that they looked. And I like what Coach Prime said. I feel like we just got here in the second quarter. So that's when we scored. That's when things started to go the way we felt like we wanted them to go. But that's the explanation behind it.
Yeah, you could tell that they looked off. I mean, we always talk about slow start, but this time it was glaring. For those who knew, we knew why that was happening. But I was getting text messages from people who didn't know saying, man, what's going on? They thought this team was going to be so pumped up to play Alabama State with all the noise that was being, that was going through the media and whatnot. But, I talked to a couple of players about this, not the players on the team, but people who have played football at we'll say the collegiate level and higher, and just asked them, would that affect their play? And some had actually been in similar situations where they were running late personally or the team was late, and some haven't. The ones who have been in that situation said absolutely, it throws off your routine. We're creatures of habit. We get used to having a certain amount of time to do a certain amount of things, and when you're rushing, it throws everything off. Just personally, when I'm running late, if we're running late for work, like it just kind of it feels like I'm always a few minutes behind that entire day, and it's about halfway through the day before you kind of catch up and get on pace. So it's a real thing. I say that to say this. I also don't want to take anything away from Alabama State. That team came to play, right? We'll get into Coach Eddie Robinson, but he had them ready to play. That's what Coach Prime was trying to give him props for at the end of the game, really having that team ready to play. But in the beginning, man, dare I say, they were winning the battle in the trenches and controlling the line of scrimmage.
They were. The main thing that I took from the first half, yes, they were winning the line of scrimmage, but the main thing over everything is that they won first down. Mm-hmm. Every drive in that first half, they won first down. And the only way that we had any success was that we would make up for it on third down. We had a lot of third and longs that we capitalized on. Mm-hmm. And that's due to the talent that we have and the plays called, because, Savion will have these, Herculean, say runs or these big pass plays that we have. And that's the only thing that even kept us to sustain any type of drive, even though we weren't getting any points on those. So that's the thing. Yeah, O-line, excuse me, that D-line was filling in. And the main thing, it wasn't so much the whole entire line was getting beat, Corey. I would say that we had an issue with pass pro from the running backs as well, which was an issue. And so that played a part as well.
Yeah, I thought they had the right strategy. I mean, like I said, guys, I was in the stadium. I really wanted to go to that game. I went through a lot of obstacles to get there. And I'm glad I did because I wanted to feel that atmosphere and see what it felt like to be sitting there. It's a homecoming, and guys, it was packed, man. It was packed. It was standing room only. I'm gonna tell y'all, it was similar to being in Lorman. You know how a lot of people on the hill. You said you had some of that going on. You had a lot of people standing around in all the different areas where they could stand. And the announcer, I doff my hat off to them, the engagement that was going on. It was well put together. It was a great home field advantage for them, and they had a great strategy. The team came out. I thought they blitzed a lot. Shador probably got hit more in this game than any game he's played all season. So great point. I mean, they definitely controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides, really. And to see them go down and score on that first drive, it's like, feeling the atmosphere, feeling that momentum swing, seeing kind of the ins and outs of kind of what's happening. I'm watching and paying attention to all of that, and I'm like, okay, we're going to have to play today. I didn't feel like from that moment sitting in there, I didn't think we was going to score a lot of points because we did get the ball first. And when they stopped us first and then they went down and scored, I was like, okay, now we got to really play. We got to adjust, adapt, do what we need to do. But doff my hat off to the coach Eddie Robinson Jr. and his staff. Had the defense ready. Had a great strategy. That cornerbacks, Bubba, the linebacker, they did a really good job, man. So I doff my hat off to them.
And kudos to Shador. I mean, just the way he played, considering all the circumstances and the adversity. First of all, obviously there was the target on his back, just with the Heisman hype, with what Coach Prime said. So that defense was gearing up for them, getting there late, throwing off his rhythm. Didn't have the best offensive line play throughout the day. He got beat up a lot, got hit. Looked like he may have kind of dinged up his shoulder. We saw him kind of looking at his shoulder a little bit. But at the end of the day, when the dust settled, 30 out of 46, 332. So he put up pretty much his same numbers. The completion percentage wasn't quite there. 3 touchdowns. He threw that 1 interception. That was on him. It looked like he got caught in between 2 receivers. It's like his mind was saying one thing, but his arm was saying something else to go to the other receiver. But at the end of the day, man, he got it done for us. And another thing about Shador, man, I know you guys noticed this, those timely runs, man. It's like he always knows when to run to get that first down and just that poise that he has. So talk a little bit about Shador.
Excuse me, I think grew more. I was impressed with him because, again, you don't learn much about yourself when things are going good, when you're having great success. You learn and you grow through adversity. And again, O-line was getting beat. He kept getting hit, and my guy just kept getting up. And Shador's worst game of the season is still better than any other quarterback in the conference.
Absolutely.
His worst game is better than any quarterback in the conference. That's a fact. I mean, his worst game, he still completed a shade under 6% of his passes, and then he still had 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Just think about that. As sophomore at that. So he doesn't have anything to hold his head down. To me, he had a good game. He showed some moxie, he showed some grit, showed some toughness. He showed his leadership by running for those third downs when it was unexpected. And he's the leader, man, and he led his troops to victory.
Yeah, I think so. To your point, 65%. Actually, and I only know that because I actually was looking at it because I did see the 30 for 46. I think I was like, yeah, he missed quite a few. And Corey, to that interception, I'm sitting right there where he did it. I don't think that was a getting caught in between. I don't know if there's an issue. That was a. Let me just toss this to you, and it went high. I mean, high, and it was like, wow. It was so goofy that it just flew off his hand and went 5 yards over the wide receiver's head, and it was like he threw it right to the defender. But
that's why I said his mind was telling him one thing, but his arm was doing another. But
man, it was goofy. But I wouldn't correct you. I was just saying, like, I knew it's kind of like you trying to throw something to somebody and it goes far left. It happens. And but
it's just so awkward to see it happen to him. That's the thing. When it happens to him, it's like it doesn't even look real, right?
Yeah.
It looked, and then you can, and so after he throws the interception, I'm looking at him, I'm watching him. He just kind of, if he could have hit himself on the head, he probably would have did it. And then you could tell he was just like, man. But to Zoe's point, to come from that and to go, and like I said, they didn't do him no favors. I mean, the pass rush was there. He had to, he had to be loose in the pocket, escape the pass rush. He had to get through his reads pretty quickly. There was some, hey, he's holding the ball too long. There was some, you got to run. It's like everybody has a reason of everybody has an expert opinion on what he needs to do when you're in the game, but watching him actually see it and get through it and overcome it. And this is why I want to say that. They go down and they score 12. And I'm telling y'all, man, just the feeling in that stadium was, boy, if we don't score, we in trouble. And to see him take that ball and march all the way down the field and put points on the board after they scored, it makes Zoe point of when he said he grew. And that was when I was like, well, we got a special. Now, we already knew we had a special kid, but that's the stuff you want to see. You want to see when you're back against the wall, you're on the road, it's loud, it's rowdy, everything's against you. And it was like he turned the volume off in the stadium and just did what grown do, got us on the board, and took over that game, man. So you're right. Doff my hat off to two, man. He had a great showing after that adversity that he saw in the game.
So you're saying it was like he was out there doing
like
I ain't hear you say it again.
It was like he was out there. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying on that drive, it looked like he was out there on that Gatorade commercial.
That's what I'm saying. No, to me, it was the beats. He was out there with the beats filming the commercial.
Yeah, it did. It really did.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what it is.
And to your point, those timely runs, and I was just happy to get the first down, man. You know, it's third down, and you like, we gotta score. We gotta score. I don't care if it's a field goal. We gotta put points on the board. But to see him like be determined to, I'm gonna get this first down. We're gonna get this score. Oh my goodness. I was like, it's over with then. And listen, one last thing. After he scored, everybody started getting up. You know, I was like, where y'all going, man? This is still 6 minutes ago. Everybody leaving all of a sudden after he started scoring. Because they knew it was over with it. But that's it.
Mm-hmm. Man, Savion Wilson, another great performance. You know, man, he's just, and we called it. Well, I got to give Shaq his credit, but it was something we always knew that he would emerge out of that backfield. 88 hard fought yards, but to me, I think he had the play of the game or the play that kind of swung the momentum, right? That was that 3rd and 15 play where he made something out of nothing, and that kind of changed the complexion of the game. So, man, Savion Wilson, what do you call him, Zoe?
Sugar cube, man.
No doubt.
Hey, man.
Hey, Savion had a great game, man. He didn't get in the end zone, but you know what I said, Zoe? And I know, Zoe, you were there with me because normally this one, I remember I hit you in the bet when we was watching him run the other day. What was that, against Grambling, right?
Yeah.
I said, man, it's good to have a running game. And that's my comments on Savion Wilson. He was right there on time when you needed him, man. And I'm telling you, it's great to have a running back that can take a lick, keep on ticking. He kept them legs turning. And look, like you said on the few episodes back, Zoe, he catch that ball out the backfield too and make something happen. So I think he had, 80-some yards on the ground, but I think total yards, he was over 100 yards for the game. So, I mean, heck of a performance by 3-6, man.
Yep. He had 48 yards receiving as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, man. Look, I call him the one cut shorty. I mean, he's a one cut assassin, man. He is the epitome of what we need at running back. Seriously. And he was tailor-made for the game that we played yesterday. A physical defense, good tackling defense. And it's like, man, Alabama State was meat, and he's the meat tenderizer, man. He just pounds it. He was just pounding away. I mean, tough yard. And you know what? We would get some plays, and he would pick up 4 yards or sometimes 3 yards. But, man, he kept hammering away. And guess what? He gonna mess around and get that 8-yard game. Mess around and get that 10-yard game. Because, man, let me tell you, that 30-15, that was a thing of beauty. And it was probably the biggest play of the game, if you really think about it.
The
biggest play of the game.
That was the turning point of the game. Definitely.
I agree with that. Yep.
But one thing I'll say, this game, it seemed like it was close. It was probably that game where if there was going to be a timeout season where we may have been nervous at any point, it was probably that game. But when you look at the final stats, you see a dominant performance. You see total yards 441 and 177. Passing yards, obviously 332 for Shador, 138 for Alabama State. They only rushed for 40 yards on the ground. We went over 100 yards. We dominated them on third down. We dominated them in time of possession. And the defense, again, it looks like the Alabama State was getting some things done. But I was watching this game. And it seems like they were in the game, but they only had 6 points for the longest. It seemed like they were in control of the game, but they only had 6 points. And that first touchdown, they were aided by a penalty. That was a horrible, well, in my opinion, that was a horrible late hit call on Nugget, because if you go back and watch him, he had already made contact with the guy before he went out of bounds, and he still had his jersey. But that's neither here nor there. But again, the defense, another dominant performance, guys.
Man, look, I got to say this. Watching the game live, you're absolutely right, Corey. It looked like they were into the game, but I'm telling you, I watched the replay last night. Once you take the emotion out of it and you watch the replay, you don't have that feeling anymore. Because everything that you said, it rings true. Watching it live, you think they're having success running the ball. Corey, I think we might have had, this is like our second best rushing defense performance of the season. Yard-wise. Then
39 yards on the ground.
Yes. on like what, 28 attempts though. That's the thing. Then you look at the passing yards. We knocked the quarterback out of the game. Backup comes in, and I think the backup still only throws for about 80 something yards. Then we're gonna talk about Aubrey Miller. Man, he had a one-on-one vendetta against D. Davis. It was a one-on-one battle, and he was lighting his tail up too. But yeah, man, the defense did what they're supposed to do. It was a repeat. This game was a repeat of Grambling. Alabama State comes in, scores in the opening possession, and then we put the clamps on them. Because they did nothing else the entire game.
Only 13 first downs. And again, you have to rewatch it and, like you said, take the emotion out of it. I like that point.
That is live. It definitely felt like everything you said. It felt like they were in control of the game. Most of the game, I felt like they had some long, sustaining drives. There was some horrible calls made. There was some horrible calls missed. There was a lot of hooping and hollering on our side, man. Some egregious, obvious holes that were happening right in front of the referees. The targeting penalty on Aubrey, very shaky. I mean, he was going low, and the guy dropped his head. It was, like you said, the Nugget call. They overturned the call that was the targeting call for Shador, and missed the targeting on J.D. Martin where he got hit helmet to helmet. The helmet came off. So it was just a lot of different. But at the end of the day, I was talking to some of the guys in the stand. I said, I'm okay with that. Just, we want that same home cooking when we're in Jackson. So y'all don't complain about that. We'll take it. We're going to overcome it. And we're not going to play for the refs. But I do feel like when we got a chance to settle down and do what we do, we took over that game. The defense, I was saying, talking to some of the fans, I said the defense is going to have to win it for us. Because it seems like the offense is not going to put up a lot of points. We just got to hold them. If we get to 24, I kept saying 24 is the magic number. 24 is the magic number because I knew that the defense was being dominant. They'd give up a play or two that led to a few things. But if you take away their first drive and you take away the penalties, see, that scoring drive that they did, Corey and Zoe, was aided by penalties. So if you look at the bulk of their yards on that drive came on penalties. A pass interference, a late hit, half the distance. You're talking about eating up 30, 40 yards on the drive. And then they get a 1 yard, questionable touchdown. So the stats tell one story. The eye test tell you a different one. But overall, in the end, like I said, we did enough to win. We did enough in the critical time when we had our possessions that, it led to a victory. Yeah, it wasn't the sexiest win, but like I said, every win ain't gonna be 60-something to 7 or 0. You got to take those 26, 14-point wins just like you take a 30-point win.
If you're Alabama State, is that a moral victory for you?
If they want to take that and use it, be my guest.
Oh man, but no, shout out to Kevin Coleman though, man. It was so good to see him finally get in the end zone, man. He had been so close. It seemed like every week he was right there. He gets called back or something happened, but he finally able to get in the end zone. Definitely happy for Kev.
I was happy about that one, man. We celebrated big time, man. And funny thing is, I was actually talking to some people before the game. I said, I feel like Kevin Coleman's going to have a big game. I just felt like it. But to see him get his first collegiate touchdown, I think that kind of got lost in some of the noise after the game. But we're going to talk about it. I'm glad you brought it up. So kudos to K3 and so many more to come, man.
I tell you what, since he got the first touchdown, maybe this could be a proverbial monkey off his back, and we can see
Nick
Shaw.
Like Malachi last season is what I mean. Yeah. And also, man, shout out to Willie Big Play Games, man. He is definitely becoming that big play threat over the top. A day where Dallas Daniels didn't stand out. It's great. I mean, we knew we were deep at receiver, but it's great to see everybody else step up, especially Willie. Definitely.
Man, look, steaming Willie games like Willie Beeman. Man, look, he do for one big play every game. Mm-hmm. Every time he get on the field, it started at Tennessee State and it's going every game since. Coach, get me in, I can make a play. You saw him seeing it, and he been doing it every week consistently.
Hey man, I love the Rob J coverage. I thought it was funny. He said Cocoa Beach. He's like, no, it's Cocoa. They represent, man. Hey, Cocoa, Florida's finest, Willie Gaines, and he is a baller, man. He's a playmaker. He's starting to become. Hey, look, he's wearing number 10, y'all. Shador had a favorite target last season that wore number 10. Shout out to Warren Newman, man. Pocket rocket, man. So I think Shador just kind of used to that number 10, and he knows, hey, if I 10 down there somewhere. What they say in the NFL when they talk about Tariq Hill, hey, just throw it down there. He's somewhere down there. That's kind of how Willie Gaines is starting to develop that type of reputation for the Tigers, man. So I saw him throw it up. He followed the ball, and I see 10 going. I was like, he going to catch the thing. He catch it, brought it down, and it was a thing of beauty, man. Reminds you of, what was that, Tennessee State? Mm-hmm. Tennessee State had a defender on him, but maybe it was more like Grambling when he caught one over the middle. But beautiful catch, man, and good stuff, man. Happy for him.
We got to let him know that his wide receiver coach wore the number 10 too.
Oh, yeah. Good point. Yeah, I'm pretty sure
that's a good point, though. Zone the historian. There it
is. He should know. He should know.
I'm pretty sure TC tells him all the time, man. Shout out to TC, man. Coach TC.
Speaking of Zoe, the historian, this is the 500th win in program history. Man, a milestone. So we've all been there for a bunch of them, but Zoe likes to, he loves that history. So what's that mean to you, man, to see number 500?
Well, it's pretty significant because we have gone the longest stretch in our history to get these 100 wins, as you guys know how the past 10 seasons have been. And that's been the thing that stretch it out. So, but now Coach Prime's here, and I foresee a bunch of 10-win seasons so we can get to 600 rather quickly. And then we'll be an elite club because Tuskegee, believe it or not, last week or the week before last, won their 700th game, which is the most of any HBCU. And so I believe now only Tennessee State and Grambling have 600 wins. And Southern has a few more, but Southern is still at 500 something. And so we can go ahead and get that 600 club because then when you're talking about elite numbers, especially when you talk about the FBS schools, Notre Dame, Michigan, all those, they're in the 700 club. So we're not too far behind.
Close that gap. Yeah, we have an opportunity to close that gap pretty quickly.
Good stuff, man. That was definitely monumental. Like I said, I don't have to add to what Zoe just said. He made a great point. So I'll just say, man, you get my stamp of approval. I'm not going to dare go against Zoe when it comes to history. That's his thing. I'm going to bow out and let him have that one. This stuff.
And also the 20th win for Coach Prime, man. He got the 20 in record time. I mean, man, 20 wins already too. This is when we count that spring season. Normally we probably don't like counting that spring season, but now we're going to count it, right? We're going to make the rules as we go. Make sure they work in our favor. So the spring season.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, they count it. They count it whenever they talk about this is third season, third year. They get it so mixed up with Coach Prime.
Well,
I try to remind people this is just year number 2 for Coach Prime. 2 seasons in one. The hyphenated season when he get 4 wins there, 11 after that, and then now 5-0. So he get to 20 in a record time, man. It's pretty outstanding. And I think he'll get to 30 a lot quicker too. So congratulations, Coach Prime. Hey, next win is gonna be that 21st win
in the state of Florida.
And he can do it in his home state.
You can't make this up, man.
In an NFL stadium.
Well, look.
NFL stadium.
Well, look.
Sorry, Bethune. I know this is our recap, but hey, we gotta get that W, man.
We're just keeping it real.
Well, look.
It wouldn't matter who was next. Ken, it wouldn't matter who was next on the schedule. We would.
It really wouldn't. I just thought I'd soften it up a little bit. It didn't make no difference.
Well, look, since we're talking about numbers, I might as well go ahead and throw it out there. We're on a 13-game conference winning streak right now.
Man.
14 if you count that forfeit against Alcorn in the spring season. I count it. I don't care what nobody say.
The W in the column. Did that count towards the 20th win? Is that in the 20? That's in the 20?
Yes, it is.
Well, it's 14, though.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
14.
14.
I mean, that's
So
halfway
I
there.
looked at that today.
oh,
So halfway.
no. We're halfway to JSU's record because Grambling broke it.
That's what I mean. Halfway.
Yeah, so we're halfway to our record, which is 28 game conference winning streak. So we're halfway there. And also, if we went out this year, we'll actually end up at 19. So, next season, the end of next season, we're well on our way.
Man,
I like it.
14 game conference winning streak, fellas.
Hey, and if Nugget, well, he didn't step out of bounds. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. Alabama State. I'll leave it alone.
It's perfect for this show, man.
It is. That's right. So let's talk about it. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't step out of bounds.
He did not step out of bounds. I was there.
Conclusive evidence. Oh man. So again, guys, we went over there, we took care of business, not like we thought. We thought we'd just get out of there. But right at the end, and most people were probably shutting the TVs off by the end, or if you were in the stadium, you probably were watching, getting ready for the boom, probably wasn't paying attention. But it happened. It happened. The push heard around the world, and it sent social media ablaze. I mean, ESPN, Bleacher Report, Sports Illustrated, you name it. So we got everybody else has talked about it. So it's time for Tiger Talk to talk about it. Who wants to get started?
Man, look, let me jump on this. When I first saw it, man, because of who Eddie Robinson is, I really wasn't perplexed like everybody else was, because, you never know what his mindset is. I really wasn't. But, man, when I saw that press conference, I lost it. And I'm going to just say I lost all respect for that dude, man. Because there are things like we talk about actions, like your mouth and what your mouth says in actions, they have to match up. And his actions doesn't match what he was saying in the press conference. He was very emotional, overly emotional, and his slip was showing. Yeah, I said it. His slip was showing. And it didn't make sense. And also, to me, man, looking at all the footage that we've seen with his team when Coach Prime stepped foot on the field, all the expletives and players, cussing at the coach, and even coaches after the game cussing their coach. What I take from that, especially listen to his press conference, I take from that is bull jive, and the team takes on the personality of the coach. So what it tells me is he was feeding a lot of this crap to his team in the pregame speech before they came on the field. Also, the team stayed in Birmingham. We didn't get tickets. There's a lot of other, bull jive that went into this game that Alabama State did. So it plays into coinciding with what the coach did. And then you want to talk about, and I'm going to say this and I'll let you go, Ken. We talk about football decorum. He was mad that, according to him, that it was 40 seconds left and we threw a hitch and go. The ball went 15 yards and went out of bounds. On that same play, asked me what they were doing on defense. So if you could see.
Well, no. What were they doing on defense? You said ask.
They had 9 in the box and they were blitzing.
Okay.
So you can't sit here and concede victory to someone else and be blitzing and then complain while you're blitzing what somebody else is doing. You can't do that. That don't make sense. So, and we already know the narrative. A lot of people out here personally don't like Prime, and so any dig they could get at him, they're going to take it. But Prime is good and covered over here at the I Love. We got Coach back. He got his front. We got his back. But we're not worried about that, man. But it was bull jive. It's all it was, straight bull jive. It was low-class bull jive, and I hope we give him everything he requested in his press conference.
I want them for homecoming next season.
Well, my one is better than your one.
Because guess what? Let me say this. We won't be late getting to the vet. The team won't be late getting to the vet from the hotel in the metro area. They'll have their regular game day routine, but go ahead.
But we're good on requests. I hope we fulfill every request he have.
Well, I'll say this. So let me throw this out there and shout out to our very own A.D. Robinson. Had somewhat of people in the tent. I think the dates might line up, fellas. It just might line up. So they just might get what he promised.
Man.
What he prayed. Let me say it this way.
I'm back to haunt you.
So I know that I looked at the date. I guess I'm not gonna put it out there. But I'll just say that looking at what I was allowed to see, I was like, wow, it looks like it's gonna line up. where it very well could be our statement, in mid-October, could very well be our homecoming. But I don't want to say that because, again, you know how schedules go. It could be
No, it's too
finalized.
soon to say. We don't know, but you're just saying it's a possibility.
I did tell A.D. Robinson, shout out to A.D. Rob, say, hey, give him what he asked for. We love that. That'll be a great homecoming. It'll be quite festive. I don't think that same energy gonna be that we Jack.
Ken, you didn't have to tell A.D. Robinson that. Trust me, he wants to do it anyway. A.D. Robinson.
I already know. Well, I'm being very PC for the show.
I know.
He's
an athlete himself. He's a competitor, so
yeah, absolutely. But this is what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna take a different approach because I did. So I'll give you my personal experience with this thing. I was actually leaving out of the stadium. Shaq called. Big Arrow Style gave me a shout. Man, did you see what this? I don't have a clue what he's talking about because there wasn't like a scuffle or nothing that took place afterwards. Right. So I was oblivious to it. And then before I could even get down out of the stadium, I was getting inboxes. Started seeing. I'm like, oh wow, this happened. So when you first saw it, I had one reaction, and I was like, "What did he put? Like he pushed like, oh, what actually happened?" But then when you look at the other angle, then you look at what he had to say and why he did what he did. I'm gonna say this, fellas. I'm actually okay with it. I'm gonna tell you why I'm okay. Now I'm gonna say it two different ways. Okay, everything that you said, he meant that. I'm okay with a man speaking his mind and saying what he felt. He put all his cards on the table. Like Zoe said, there was a lot of, bull junk in the midst of it. I had my emotions about it when I saw the press conference. Lost respect there. I didn't really care what was said. But I don't like the, who is swag stuff. Like he ain't swag, I'm swag. I didn't care for that at all. I just thought that was, I didn't even know where he was going with that. But I'll say it this way. If you listen to what he said in his press conference on what he did, he said, you're not going to do whatever he felt like Coach Prime done, and whatever he deemed to be disrespectful. I'm not a man to tell another man what he deems disrespect. What I will say is this. That's how he chose to respond to it. My thing was, I would have respected it even more if you'd have just waved and said, all right, bro, good game, and went on to the locker room. Or when you went to the 50-yard line, I would have did a fist bump. Good game, coach, and just kept rolling. But Coach Prime was caught off guard. He tried to, he dapped him up. That's what we do as men. We dap, hey, good game, baby. You know what I mean? That's sportsmanship. But when you take it a step further and say, I'm going to shake your hand, and he catch you off guard, and I'm going to stiff arm you on the chest, and Coach Prime basically removed his hand off his chest. So when you look at it from both sides, it was what it was. I mean, he did what he did, which he felt like he had the right to stop Coach Prime from giving him a bro hug. And Coach Prime, not knowing what was going on, removed his hand forcefully off his chest. And he had the right to do that too. So I don't even think there's a right or wrong. This is my opinion. I don't look at it as right or wrong from those perspectives. If two men, what happened. It is what it is. But when you go to the press conference, and you say everything that he said, and you start attacking the man, and he was talking out of both sides of his mouth, because I could dissect it. One of the things I will say that he did say that I wasn't too favorable for is the part where he said, you didn't speak to me before the game. Why am I going to broke Dappy up? And I was like, that came off as a bit entitled. I'm like, you didn't also speak to him. You could have. It's not like you went and tried to speak to Coach Prime and he ignored you. So it can't be, hey, you didn't come to me and speak to me, so I'm going to treat you this type of way. So I just kind of dismissed a lot of that. He showed himself. He was very emotional after a tough loss. They lost homecoming. I know he really riled them up. And then when you get to the video footage, all the other stuff that took place, a lot of disrespect that was going on. A lot of things Coach Prime said. I'm going to just say this and I'm going to leave it alone. I'm okay with it. The only thing I request is that everybody, when you do it, don't feel some type of way when you come to get Jackson and get that same treatment. That's all I'm going to say about that. So, you can have the antics. You could be, professional, unaccommodating, all those things. I'm one of those fans that like to make it uncomfortable for the opposing team. So I don't want a visitor side anymore. I want to make it I want us to pack the bench so they don't have nowhere to sit. You get what I'm saying? So that's my take on it. It was a lot of bull junk, and I think at the end of the and I'm gonna say this and I'm done. At the end of all of this, the thing that got lost in the majority of everything was the actual game. I think what he did and what happened took away from the valiant effort that his team made. It is his first season on the job. They held the number one offense to 26 points. They had us on the brink. They had us, in doubt for a little while. And that was the last thing everybody talked about. And this is the thing that everybody's still talking about. So that's my take on it, fellas. It is what it is. A line was drawn in the sand. You with us or you not? And we ride with the Tigers. We'll see you in Jackson.
Corey, one thing too, I did want to touch on when he mentioned about Coach Brown. He was like, "I'm swag, he ain't swag." I really, it was a head scratcher because I'm like, so basically you're calling pretty much 3/4 of the coaches in this conference they ain't swag. Then
wait, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. First of all, that statement, and somebody talked about him being emotional, but that statement had to be some of the most childish, bitter, and irrelevant nonsense I have ever heard a head coach say in a press conference. That made absolutely no sense. Going back to what you were saying, 3/4. I mean, what does it take to be SWAC, right? Because first of all, correct me if I'm wrong, hasn't Deion Sanders been coaching in SWAC longer than Eddie Robinson? Had he been a head coach longer?
Yeah.
Yes or no? Okay, so again, what's the definition of being SWAC? That's what I want to know. Now, when he said that, he said, I'm standing on the shoulders of, he said about 2 or 3 coaches. Do y'all remember who those coaches were?
W.C. Gordon, Marino Castle, Eddie Robinson.
Make it make sense.
Coincidentally,
make
all 3 of those coaches didn't attend SWAC schools.
So let's do it. Let's do this. Let's play a game. Let's play a game called He Ain't SWAC. Y'all ready? Y'all want to do it? He ain't SWAC. Let's see who ain't SWAC. Using the logic of Eddie Robinson, let's say who ain't SWAC. Okay, I'll start off. We already said it. Late great W.C. Gordon, all-time winningest coach in Jackson State history. I beloved. Where'd he go to school though?
Tennessee State.
But he's standing on his shoulders, right? So make it make sense. He's standing on W.C. Gordon's shoulders, but Coach Prime ain't SWAC. Well, in that case, W.C. ain't SWAC. All right. Yep. Who's up? Who's next? Who ain't SWAC?
Marino Castle.
Where'd he go?
Xavier.
Who you got, kid?
Willie Simmons.
Clemson. Let's go.
What about the original Eddie Robinson? Where did he go?
Leland College.
So the GOAT coach in SWAC history ain't SWAC. And again, we're using the logic of the other. We call him the other Eddie Robinson.
So are we applying the definition of SWAC, meaning you have to have played in the SWAC to be SWAC?
I mean, I don't know. Is it played or? I mean, I'm saying attended.
Well, guess what? It had to be played or attended. Paraphrasing genius coach Robinson at Alabama State.
Either way, the people we've named so far, they did neither.
They did neither. That's the point. They did neither.
Okay, let's keep it going. Y'all got any more names? I got one.
Robert McDowell.
Okay.
Miami Hurricanes. He ain't SWAC.
I got one. This is a good one. Jay Hobson. Hey, he would listen. He would in there turn that thing around, right? If it wasn't for him, where would they be right now? We don't know. I mean, you talk about turning something around. He ain't SWAC.
I can do it. Hugh Jackson.
Whew. He ain't go to HBCU.
I got one for y'all. Y'all ready for this?
How about Doc Gamble? Where'd Doc Gamble go?
Somewhere in Ohio.
Okay, what about this one, Tiger fans? Get ready. Get ready for this. Tiger fans, this person ain't SWAC. I'm sorry. I love you dearly. We just had you on the show. But Coach Tamika Reed, she ain't SWAC. Coach T. Reed ain't SWAC.
Coach Mo Williams.
My boy, he ain't SWAC here.
Jacktown, but he ain't SWAC. According to his coach. Like, we don't, that's why I said it's a head scratcher. I didn't even think we had to go outside of other sports. You could just look right within the conference. And you know what's so ironic about this, fella? Did the SWAC not just drop a video of all the coaches
Saturday,
right before the
game day?
Game day. The SWAC drops a video of the SWAC coaches. And on that very same day, the coach that lost his homecoming, the coach that, let me ask you this question. I got a real question. This is a question I really had. And we're going to keep playing what is SWAC, whatever. What was Eddie Robinson's coaching record prior to him coming to Alabama State?
A&O, front and back.
Was he coaching football?
No, selling. He was real estate.
All right, so here's my point. I'm okay with that. So somebody knew somebody or something. I mean, he's fortunate. I mean, I know he played football for Alabama State. He got drafted in the second round, played in the NFL, had a great career, whatever, and professional career. And he knows somebody that gave him an opportunity. Most people don't get those opportunities where you get afforded to just go walk through the door and coach at your alma mater. So I just thought, I don't know. I ain't mad about it. I ain't mad about that. I'm actually okay with that, but I just thought I'd throw that out there because I'm like, dude, you just got here, you just got handed a job, and here you are attacking the conference SWAC championship coach, calling him not SWAC.
We said it, man. That was a grown man in his feelings. That was a grown man in his feelings in the press conference, and I know. Looking back at that, I know he wishes he could. And he released a statement, right? He backtracked on something, not everything, but going back, I know you wish you could take that back. Because one thing about it, man, it's on the internet forever. It's on the internet forever.
Well, Ken, to really put the nail on your point, he had no head coaching experience, right? He was in the real estate, but he has that job as a byproduct from a coach who ain't from the SWAC. You got your job in the SWAC as a byproduct of a coach that ain't from the SWAC. Let's be real. Let's be real. Because you would not be at Alabama State if there was no Deion Sanders at Jackson State.
That's a good point.
Great point, man. You know, I wish we didn't have to talk about it, but it happened, and it is what it is. I think. But look, Coach Prime's response was just as spicy. One of the things I love about our coach, he always got the cameras rolling, man. There's always the other side.
When the rabbit got the gun, man, the rabbit keeping the gun on Lynch Street.
Yeah, man.
Well, I'm gonna say this, and I'll leave it alone. Everything that Eddie Robinson did was tailor-made example of why Coach Prime always says, "Don't let my confidence offend your insecurity."
So Corey, can I say one more thing that Coach Prime? I want to just highlight this, and I thought this was powerful, or and maybe somebody don't like that word, but when you think about what Coach Prime said in the press conference, he said, "I thought I did my part." Mm-hmm. He said, "Did we not sell out? Did we not sell out the game?" And he repeated, he said, "Did we sell out the game?" They're like, "Yeah." He said, "I did, but did I not do?" He said, "When have they ever done that before?" So he was selling the game, and it was to their benefit. And we were unbelievably inconvenienced, but at the same time, the question I keep saying, people's defense of things that were directed toward Coach Prime is centered around the comments that were said at the press conference as well as the SWAC coaches. But I think the SWAC coaches press conference, he was asked a question. And when he talked about it being a money game, he said, "This is like a money game." He explained why, saying that JSU fan base, we rolled deep. And we did. We was in there loud, and we had our white on, and we came in and represented like we always do. And they had 28,000 in the 26,000 seat stadium. Mm-hmm. Think about that. So he said he did his part.
Well, the only problem I have with most SWAC fans right now when it comes to Coach Prime, it has a very bad stench of shut up and dribble. Just shut up and coach. It has a really bad stench of that. That's the vibe
it only applies to Coach Prime, though, because, again, what did you just say, Zoe? Don't let my confidence offend your insecurity. So everybody gets to display their insecurities about Coach Prime, and when he opens his mouth, they're offended. Again, everybody can throw it, but they can't take it. So again, the man got on and said, "I have never, ever disrespected an opponent, even in my playing career in my life." So what people are equating as disrespect is really a lot of reaching. You got a confident man that's filled with faith, whose life has reflected a high level of success. And most people in our community just have an issue with it. I mean, you loved him until he came to Jackson State, but now all of a sudden he can't do nothing right. So they get to sit on the internet and talk about everything that he does that they don't like, and they overanalyze it to no end. And yet they can't stop watching him. Yet anything that comes his way, there's a bunch of bull junk. People co-sign that. And that's why I was like, co-sign it, then it is what it is. You're showing your hate. But it's okay. He's built for this. He was built for it. And it is what it is. And again, if you feel like Coach Prime did something that was wrong, then you have that right to say what you feel like it was. If you feel like it's justified, then cool. We ain't got nothing to discuss. Let's move on.
Well, fella, I ended on this note. We did him a favor. We helped pack the stadium. Like you said, money game. They made money. He did us a favor. Guess what? He put us right back in the national spotlight. I know you got the Bleacher Report alert. I know you got multiple Bleacher Report alerts. I know you got multiple ESPN alerts. I know you saw it on Sports Illustrated and all these other places. So that's free publicity. That's free marketing. We'll take it. We'll consume it. We'll eat it up because those recruits, they're seeing it as well. Just keeping our name out there. So appreciate that, Ed. Coach Ed.
Hey, even the big superstars was retweeting. Coach Prime tweeted today. Randy Moss retweeted. Coach Prime, we with you. Terrell Owens was at the game, so he got a big following, man. Jackson State is hot. Like it or lump it.
No doubt. All right, fellas, onward and upward. Back to Florida. Got to take care of business in Jacksonville, NFL Stadium. Hopefully some scouts will be there. We had some scouts at this previous game, had some representatives from the Hula Bowl, and who knows who else was in the stands, who else was watching. But another big game, road game, conference game, and then we bring it back to the vet. So we got a lot of exciting shows coming up to preview that. So, fellas, we will see you in Jayville. Holla. D I love. Go Tigers.
D I love. Go Tigers.
And that'll do it for episode 276 of Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club. Thank you to all of our listeners. And again, be sure to subscribe to the podcast. Apple Podcasts and Spotify video users, rate and review the show. And everyone, go follow Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club on Facebook and Tiger Talk 1400 on Instagram and Twitter. We're looking to do some big things with this platform to aid the athletics department. And it all starts with you. Downloading, subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show, and tell every Tiger that you know. We're on all podcast outlets: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify Video, YouTube, and so on. And we'll be posting each episode on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. As always, thanks for your support. Go Tigers. Hashtag I believe. Hashtag the I love.